Alliteration. Repeated consonant sounds at the beginning of words placed near each other or next to each other. E.g., the barbarians broke through the barricade. Allegory. A symbolic story where characters, events, and settings are used to represent abstract ideas and concepts. It is often used to convey a moral or political message in a subtle and indirect way. Allusion. A brief reference to some person, historical event, work of art, or biblical situation or character. E.g., chocolate cake is my kryptonite. Ambiguity. The deliberate use of words, phrases, or expressions that has more than one possible meaning or interpretation. E.g., she saw the man with the telescope. Analogy. A comparison between one thing and another, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. E.g., that movie was a rollercoaster ride of emotions. Anthropomorphism. Whereas personification is figurative, anthropomorphism is more literal. Non-human entities, such as animals and gods, or objects talk, think, and behave like humans. Apostrophe. A poetic phrase or speech made by a character or narrator addressed to a subject that is not literally present. The subject may be dead, absent, an object or idea. O. Bed. Finally were reunited after the longest day. Assonance. Repeated vowel sounds in words placed near each other, usually on the same or adjacent lines. E.g., go slow over the road to nowhere. Oral imagery. Imagery that calls upon our sense of sound. E.g., she could hear the gentle whisper of the breeze and the chirping of the birds. Colloquialism. The use of casual, everyday language that makes writers seem down to earth, practical, realistic and on the same level as the everyday person. E.g., we need to change our, she'll be right mate, attitudes. It's important to give everyone a fair go. Connotation. The ideas or feelings associated with a word that go beyond the literal definition. E.g., the word house seems more neutral, whereas the word home has more emotional connotations. It evokes feelings of warmth and safety and suggests ideas of family and belonging. Cliché. An expression that is trite, worn out, and overused. E.g., don't even worry about him. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Descriptive language. The use of detail and descriptive words such as adjectives, adverbs or verbs create sensory imagery. Imagery can be visual, sight, oral, sound, olfactory, smell, gustatory, taste, tactile, feel, or kinesthetic, movement. Diction. Diction is also called word choice, vocabulary, or lexical choice. When discussing diction, we usually consider word class and connotation. Dramatic irony. When the audience or reader knows more about a situation than the characters in the story, creating tension and suspense. E.g., a girl is planning a surprise party for her friend, but the friend has already found out about it and is pretending to be surprised. Double entendre. A phrase that might have two different meanings or interpretations. One is usually straightforward and the other is usually risque or inappropriate. E.g., you look really hot. Emotive language. Using adjectives or adverbs with strong emotional connotations to enhance the emotions of the reader. E.g., the poor little dogs are beaten, neglected and starved. Euphemism. An understatement, used to lessen the effect of a statement that might sound harsh, offensive or hurtful. E.g., she is at rest, she passed away. Epiphora. The use of repetition within the last part of successive clauses or sentences. E.g., cuddling the baby, feeding the baby, clothing the baby. Your whole life starts to revolve around the baby. Figurative language. A way of expressing something that doesn't rely on a word's realistic or literal meaning but makes abstract comparisons. It includes simile, metaphor, personification, idiom, metonym, etc. Gustatory imagery. Imagery that calls upon our sense of taste. E.g., she could still taste the salty sea water on her lips after the swim. Hyperbole. A figure of speech that presents an overstatement or exaggeration for emphasis. E.g., I've told you to clean your room 1,000,000 times. Idiom. A group of words established by usage as having a meaning not deducible from those of the individual words. E.g., I was over the moon. Jargon, when the author uses subject-specific language to appeal to a particular audience and make them appear an expert in a particular field. E.g., the defendant has pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated assault. Legal jargon. Juxtaposition, the deliberate placement of 2 things side by side to highlight their contrast. They might include people, ideas, things, places, behaviors or characteristics. E.g., light and darkness. Kinesthetic imagery, imagery that calls upon our sense of movement. E.g., tripping and stumbling she lurched towards the traitor with her arms outstretched. Metaphor, a direct comparison of 2 unlike things stating that one is the other or does the actions of the other. E.g., his stomach was a twisted storm of butterflies. Metonymy, a figure of speech whereby a person, place or thing is referred to by something closely associated with it. E.g., the pen is mightier than the sword. Motif, an object, idea or symbol that is repeated multiple times throughout a literary text. E.g., the repeated use of mirrors as a symbol of self-reflection and introspection throughout a novel. Neologism, a newly created word or phrase used in expressions of writing or speaking. E.g., let's remember to take lots of selfies when we go glamping this weekend. Hopefully we don't get hangry. Olfactory imagery, imagery that calls upon our sense of smell. E.g., the sticky sweet scent of cinnamon donuts wafted in the air. Onomatopoeia, the formation of a word to imitate the natural sound of something associated with it. E.g., the clang of the pots and pans woke the baby. Oxymoron, a combination of 2 words that appear to contradict each other. E.g., clearly confused, seriously funny, bittersweet, deafening silence, old news. Paradox, a statement which seems contradictory but may reveal an unexpected truth. E.g., you've got to be cruel to be kind. Parody, when a work imitates another work in a humorous or satirical way, often by exaggerating or distorting its features for comic effect. E.g., a comedic sketch about a popular talk show host who constantly interrupts and talks over the guests. Pathetic fallacy, a literary device that attributes human qualities, particularly emotions, to inanimate objects of nature, often the weather. E.g., the angry storm clouds loomed over the city, threatening to unleash their fury at any moment. Parallelism, the repetition of grammatical elements within writing, such as when a writer uses 2 or more clauses or phrases of similar grammatical structure near or next to one another. Examples include anaphora, epiphora, antithesis, epistrophe and many others. Personification, giving human characteristics to something non-human such as an object, animal, or abstract idea. E.g., the days crept by slowly, sorrowfully. Pun, a joke exploiting the different possible meanings of a word or the fact that there are words which sound alike but have different meanings. E.g., the bakery went bankrupt as it ran out of dough. Repetition, when the author purposefully reuses words or phrases to create emphasis, can be through anaphora or epiphora. E.g., we end up buying so much stuff that we need storage units for the stuff, but then we end up having to clear stuff to make room for more stuff. Rhetorical question, when the author asks a question that implies its own answer or that the audience is forced to answer themselves. E.g., how can we be expected to abandon our cars in favor of public transport when the system is so underfunded? Sarcasm, when a writer makes a statement expressing the opposite of what they intend to convey, using witty language to insult, scorn or mock. E.g., thanks for leaving all your dirty dishes in the sink for me to clean up. You're a real gem. Satire, a literary device and genre that uses irony, humor, and exaggeration to criticize or ridicule individuals, organizations, or society as a whole, often with the aim of provoking change or inspiring reform. Simile, a direct comparison of 2 unlike things using the words like or as. E.g., her cheeks were red like a rose. Situational irony, when the outcome of a situation differs greatly from what one would expect to happen. E.g., a fire station burns down. Symbolism, when an ordinary object, event, animal, or person represents extraordinary meaning or significance. E.g., the dove is a symbol of peace. Synecdoche, when a whole object or idea is referred to by the name of one of its smaller parts. E.g., that's a nice set of wheels. Tactile imagery, imagery that calls upon our sense of touch. E.g., the grass prickled his skin as he lay on the sports ground. Triculon, when the author uses a three-part sentence. It is effective because the human brain seems to more readily process ideas in groups of three. E.g., the culling of kangaroos is cruel, wasteful and a disgrace to our nation. Understatement, a type of verbal irony that presents something as being smaller, worse, or less important than it actually is. It is the opposite of exaggeration. E.g., during a monsoon, a little rain never hurts nobody. Verbal irony, a figure of speech whereby someone says one thing but means the opposite. It includes sarcasm, understatements and overstatement, hyperbole. Visual imagery, imagery that calls upon our sense of sight. E.g., the shimmering sun bounced waves of light off the surface of the ocean. Zoomorphism, when animal qualities or behaviors are attributed to inanimate objects, humans, gods or other subjects. E.g., the woman had sharp, beady eyes and delicate, pointed features. She took a flight out of the coffee shop.